Wrestling is Real podcast. Because wrestling needs us. Brought to you by KingofAmazon.com. Go to KingofAmazon.com when you do your shopping for Amazon to help the King of Podcasts. Shop for Amazon at KingofAmazon.com. Welcome to episode 515 of the Wrestling is Real podcast. Thank you all for joining me here on the program. So glad to have you. King of Podcasts here with you. We have a week WrestleMania season upon us, and I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what people are going to say to me about the way that some of the storylines are starting to be put together and starting to gel for WrestleMania season. Look, there are a few things to enjoy, but man, they are going back to the well way too many times. That's the biggest problem. There's not a lot of creativity going on, and there's not a lot of really nuance or anything that we haven't seen before. I just feel like we are kind of set in time. We're kind of stuttered right now with no real moving forward. Nothing that's really drawing in younger viewers. It's funny how NXT continues to have an older audience. The same thing with Raw. What are you going to do to go and continue to keep rehashing and continue to regenerate feuds based on stuff that's 20, 25 years old, 15 years old in some cases? The thing is, what is being done within WWE to create something for the future? That the future stars that are really going to go over viral and they're really going to go over and get the younger audience to be drawn in. That's the biggest problem that nobody's talking about. Nobody's considering the fact that, is there anybody at all on the main roster that really stands out and says, this is like a young person that's going to stand out? This is somebody that's going to say, this is who is going to be translating to teenagers. It's going to translate to 20-year-olds, the Gen Zs, the Zoomers, right? Not millennials, not Gen Xers like me. Okay. We're trying to talk about younger. And I don't mean kid friendly. That's another story. But we're talking about the formative audience. Now, they're not the money makers, right? It's 18 to 49, but you got to get to the younger demo, the younger skew of the 18-year-olds and up. College kids, who are the ones coming to these shows? You know it's not. The bulk of the audience that is watching WWE right now, okay, they are probably fans that followed along in the Attitude Era like myself, okay? Because at the time when the wars started coming out, the Monday Night Wars, I was 21 years old. And that's a long damn time ago, 1996, okay? Or 1995, rather. I was 20 years old. I'm just saying, this is where people are getting the wrong idea. And there's a lot of podcasters, my podcast brethren in the wrestling community and wrestling Twitter for another fact as well. Remember, you got a lot of these people that are older, okay? Let me try to figure out everybody that I know out here of who I can think of off the top of my head. All right. So Don Tony's in his 40s. Kevin Castle is in his late 40s, right? Don Tony, late 40s. I believe Solid Monster is in his mid to late 30s. Don't quote me. Joey Numbers is like 30s. I believe Anthony Missionary Thomas is in 30s. And don't quote me on this. I am just guessing on the top of my head. I think JD from New York, he is late 30s. And I'm 44. So I am not a spring chicken here. But even I understand that there was a time where some of the things that are going on within WWE that should be for a younger audience, you know, I like to watch stuff that's kind of like up and coming. I mean, I'm not one person that has to listen to music that has to be like, I got to go back to listen to like, you know, Biggie and Tupac. I don't even listen to their music. That's back in 97, 98. I'm not looking for that right now. I don't need to hear Bad Boy versus Death Row. No, I don't need that. No, I actually like listening to like, I don't know. I can listen to Lil Baby or Da Baby or Moneybagg Yo or Megan Thee Stallion. I mean, listen to music I play in here and the instrumentals on this show. You know where my taste of music is at. So my thing is, I look at what's going on here and I say to myself, man, it's unfortunate of how things are happening within this company that they don't get in with the times. When I listen to the rock music being played on the shows, NXT wants to go that ECW of this era. But what rock music is out there being played in the mainstream or even played among young kids? The Zoomers, 18 to 20-year-olds, up to 30-year-olds. Who is listening to that? The 18 to 34s. Because yes, you go after the money demographic. Absolutely. But there's a different story when you're going after the younger audience that's going to continue to watch, which is what you did back in the late 90s. Because the audience that was being brought out then was young and hungry for it. And all of a sudden we had stars that were like cool as shit. The problem is, way entertainment is right now, John Cena's considered cool, right? Come on, he's about to be the heel in the next Fast and Furious movie, F9. That guy's going to be a big star again. This movie's going to be transitional for him because he already has become a big star in movies. And now this one will take him over the top because he's going to play a villain. He was kind of sort of villain in Bumblebee, but now he's going to be pure, unadulterated heel. And people are going to love it. Okay, they're not going to look at the WrestleMania WWE character that John Cena is going to be when he comes back to wrestle at WrestleMania, possibly. But he is coming back this week. That was nice. I'm surprised he had the time for it, but hey, rock on. And people are going to love the fact that he's going to be on there, and SmackDown should get a boost in the ratings for that as a result. But now, getting back to my point, the music, the stars, the things you're doing, what is meme friendly? What is really standing out? Ask yourself that. Because I know there's certain stars they have on board. They are trying to get up there and they're, trying to bring to the ranks. But really, how many of them are of the age that relates to the crowd out there? Well, ask yourself the question. All right. First of all, let's look at some of the people they have. Okay, Buddy Murphy, 31 years old. Seth Rollins, 33. And don't ask me why I started with Buddy Murphy. I just started looking at names. Just started thinking on the top of my head who was on top right there, okay? Roman Reigns, 34. Becky Lynch, 33. Now, these are the stars they have right now that are of the younger ilk that are being given some pretty good main event positions. Say what you will. Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, also in their 30s. But the thing is there anybody really skewing towards the younger crowd? Is Becky Lynch really doing so much to get herself to a certain spot that people are going to say, wow? I mean, does she have that kind of, maybe to younger girls, maybe? I don't know. Do we see a lot of women actually dressing like her or acting like her at all? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of who else there is off the top of my head. Shayna Baszler? Really, who do we have that really stands out and says, you know what? This is young mass appeal right here. They're as big as a music star, as big as a TV star. Who is there that really resonates with all? Sasha Banks? Yes. I mean, there's a bit of a cool factor to her. I guess Becky Lynch has had that a little bit here and there. Ronda Rousey has a cool factor, I would imagine. Charlotte Flair doesn't have a cool factor. That's the way they booked her. It's not been good. Aleister Black, that's a cool factor from the Attitude Era. So the older audience is going to respond to him. Humberto Carrillo, Garza. I mean, some good-looking Mexican guys. I don't think that makes much of a difference. It's still for the wrestling crowd. But there's nothing that appeals outside of the wrestling bubble. That's what's important. And the audience skews older. So the most important thing I'm trying to bring up here is this. In WrestleMania season, we're getting to the same week WrestleMania season we've gotten many times. Part-timers coming back. Goldberg coming back for a match. John Cena coming back probably for a match. Edge comes back from retirement. We're seeing some of that right now, right? So you got to ask yourself, okay, you mean, really, I don't see where we're getting anywhere with trying to make any big difference for the audience. See, the earnings call happened last Thursday. You think about the money being made right now for the next 5 years of this company. And then you go back 10 years, 20 years with the Saudi money coming in. And who knows what else other money they might make off the WWE network. But the thing is this. And I think Brian Alvarez and Mike Sempervive and Dave Meltzer, Wrestling Observer, talked about it earlier this week. Jim Valley, They all talk about the fact, the future of this company, nobody's thinking about it. Nobody's thinking about future fans. Nobody's thinking about future investment in the company. It's the here and now, which is quite interesting. Think about it. That's one thing that I notice that AEW is doing. I feel like AEW is trying to go after the younger audience. They skew younger anyway. I mean, when you look at some of the stars they have, yes, it's still wrestling, but I just feel like there's certain people they bring in, and the way they present themselves so well on social media makes a difference. Now, I'm not going to say AEW is the perfect storm of that. And wrestling in general doesn't do that much either. I mean, there's some stars that might get a little bit of appeal somewhere else, but WWE is at the forefront. They're supposed to be the trendsetters. Or at least they're supposed to follow the trends of others to get themselves going forward. They just got on the TikTok right now, and they're not doing a good job of it. Okay? Something's going on where, I mean, they do some reality shows type stuff that's supposed to go to a certain audience, but still, it's the type of reality type shows that are going to go to an older audience. And I just don't know what you get off of what's going on here and what they've been able to do to get the audience to engage or to get younger audiences enthralled into coming in to watch Raw or SmackDown. Is it just because of the fact they don't want to watch on cable? That they're content with being YouTube watchers and watching the clips online afterwards? I don't know. Braun Strowman, does he have that kind of appeal that says, oh, wow, look at him, IC champion? Does he really have that? Does Miz and Morrison have that? It's funny how they now have a new series on WWE Network about the Ruthless Aggression era, because the problem is we're still kind of living that as well. But the Ruthless Aggression era is 15 years old. So to see Drew McIntyre and MVP on Monday night kind of put things together, Randy Orton and Edge going on, an Attitude Era feud, a Ruthless Aggression feud, you're basically playing the nostalgia. And that's not good. And is anybody really playing to the new end? Street Profits? No. Not really. And I think they're getting thrown down our throats right now. And they don't really mean much. The New Day, maybe a little bit here and there. I mean, they do have a little something that they do with the up, up, down, down, and, the presentation, but it is kind of they've ran that to the ground. We're coming up on 5 years for those guys, right? So what else is there? What else do you have that really just stands out that makes people say, wow, here we go? I don't see it. And that's what we got to think about, is that there's not much there. I think there's some wrestlers on the women's side that really do stand out that might kind of get an appeal. Obviously, I think not just Sasha Banks, I think Naomi does. When I look at some of the Twitter people I've been trying to follow online as of late, I see some of the women that are being brought up, but I don't hear a whole lot about the guys. And I just try to figure out, where are they trying to go with things? I mean, there's a reason why certain stars that are younger, I mean, look, at least there are certain stars that are not part of the Ruthless Aggression era or the era of the Attitude Era. Some of them were. But when you think about it, I mean, you have, I think there's a lot of AEW fans that are younger because of the fact that they probably heard from like older siblings or from people that they knew they were a little bit older, probably knew about what was going on back in the day. But as far as I know, I see a lot of people that are like gamers. I see a lot of kids, a lot of guys that are like, kind of like me, a little bit of neck beard, big guys, whatever. And like, there's a certain kind of crowd that goes to the events for wrestling, but it's a younger crowd. You can look on TV, you can see it's a bit of a younger crowd. And yeah, AEW doesn't have a whole lot of I don't see a whole lot of families out there. It's not like real family friendly kind of feel to it. It's a different crowd. It's a very hodgepodge. I can't really figure out what it is. But they've landed onto something, and they've worked so hard on social media and on YouTube to get themselves out there. I mean, wrestling has got to become cool again, but who's going to be the stars, or who are going to be the stars that are going to make that big difference? The big change is going to make it all change there. I don't know. I'm not sure what to think. It's all coming up to me right now really raw, and I'm trying to formulate it in my head, really what it comes down to, because I've been thinking about it all day, and I really can't come up with the best answer as to what it is that this company needs to do to kind of get things off the ground. But the stars that they have now do not resonate with the younger audience. I mean, think about it. When you had certain stars for the last, 10, 20, 30 years, they kind of did resonate with, like music stars or with TV stars, something that would be certain of the day, somewhat comparable. Do we see any of that right now at all? Does anybody see that? Because I don't. I'm trying to figure out who there is. Does Aleister Black get that kind of appeal? Will Shayna Baszler as a vampire get that kind of appeal? Smackdown, they try to get a little bit of that sports feel when they were trying to bring in Tyson Fury and Cain Velasquez. Like, think about all that. Is there really anything right now that really stands out? You might not want to say, but, there's the woke kind of thing going on right now with our culture. And, I mean, I see in my own idea, I think some of that's actually working against the company a little bit. But, I mean, that's one way to go. If you're acting woke, you're trying to be progressive, then that is going to trigger, and that's going to, not trigger, that's going to trigger an interest, that's what I mean, from a younger audience. That is one thing AEW is doing. So I feel like that part's going on. Nyla Rose is now the women's champion in AEW. First transgender female to get that. Say what you will, but that's progressive. That's moving forward. People are going to talk about that. And you know what kind of an audience is going to draw into that? Younger. If they want to play into that woke crowd, the progressive type of viewer that might want to go and pull into this, if this is something that's going to draw in, yeah, you go with where it works. It's business. So I can understand that. Do we have anything like that right now? I mean, that's why I was really surprised. The 4-way contendership, I think it was, for Bayley's Smackdown Women's title, right? And Naomi was in the match, or was it that match? Or, I forget which match it was. Yeah, is it Naomi on SmackDown? I don't remember now. That's right, she is, right. So he was in the match with Carmella, Dana Brooke, and Alexa Bliss, and that was a contendership match. But I saw a lot of people that were upset that Naomi, woman of color, did not win that contendership match and was not the one that's going after Bayley right now. But most likely Bayley will get a chance to go after Naomi coming up in WrestleMania. Probably that match will be down the line. Kofi Kingston in the same way last year, person of color, winning the belt last year. I think there was a thing where part of the appeal of having Kofi hold the belt, I really think was because that progressive audience, they thought it might actually pull off something. But a progressive type audience does not follow along. I mean, just because of how charitable the company is, and certain stars might have a certain look or might have a certain thing to help build that out. I don't think they're getting any of that right now. It's not much of it, but that's what I think about. I think about the fact that that's one direction AEW is doing, which I think is not a bad way to go. And, I think AEW plays in the nerds, which is, they're not trying to be overly cool. I mean, there's some people that just feel like, they're not going to be necessarily they're playing to the audience that's out there. Cause I think they're just some of the stars they have is, younger guys. We're not the big bulky kind of guys. When you see Jungle Boy and you see Marco Stunt, right? Or Darby Allin, they're, counterculture. Yes, but there's a counterculture to it that still resonates the younger audiences. I mean, Darby Allin with a skateboard. And, Jungle Boy, I don't know. I think just something with the him and the Luchasaurus thing, the dinosaur thing just kind of had a look to it. I don't know. AEW's, they've worked with themselves to kind of work with the gaming community, right? to do stuff with Rick and Morty, which is very young and progressive, right? Well, not progressive, very young, skewing audience. But even people like me love that damn show. I think it's hilarious. But I try to think about the fact of, this is what WrestleMania season is supposed to be about. We're supposed to see this company getting themselves in a direction to really build some stories that are going to build the interest of WrestleMania and get that to be the focal point to get 75,000 people into Tampa's Raymond James Stadium this April. They got to be able to get that done. Are they getting that done right now? Like, ask yourself the question, do you really feel at all where coming up in 52 days, are we really going to see a major change at WrestleMania that's going to say, wow? No, we're getting the same thing we get every damn year. Look like we are getting big stars coming back for matches that are going to go away. And the worst part is, some of them are coming for Saudi money. Brock's going to get a little taste of it. Goldberg's going to get a little taste of it. We don't know who else. Undertaker could get a little taste of it. These are the kind of things that are going on to build it back up. Get the Super Showdown going so the Saudi princes will come on in and spend some damn money. Because that's what they care about. You know, everybody talks about, oh, controversial, Super Showdown. Well, so what? It's nothing new there. We've already talked about the last 3 shows. What is going to be said about going back to Saudi Arabia that we have not heard about before? Jamal Khashoggi, or being stuck at the airport, right? It's always one thing. If it's not one thing, it's another. Every time around. So we have matches all set up. And Brock Lesnar's going to have to go and do his money fight. A nice big glorified squash to Ricochet. Goldberg and Bray Wyatt, which, you know, you got to bring the Fiend back there, and they don't want to put Roman Reigns out there. They don't want to go ahead and give up that match. So Goldberg comes out for money, Saudi money. That's what it comes down to. New Day versus Morrison and Miz. That looks pretty good. We have to continue the Roman Reigns King Corbin feud, which I know people are tired of. Steel cage match. So no, the dog food match was not the blow off. No, now we got to do the cage. Hopefully that's the blow off. What a feud that we did not want. A feud that has just gotten so bad. And I know that Baron Corbin needed a feud like this, and Roman Reigns needed a feud like this, and this is what they decided to do. But they could have done a whole lot better. What a shit feud. Vince, it's his marks all over it. Dog food as the storyline. What a piece of dog shit. So anyway, looking at what WWE has been doing with WrestleMania season to get them things off and running. Well, let's talk about what they've done and what they've been able to do to get themselves off the ground and really try to get things moved back in a certain direction. But I don't feel like they have done anything much yet. I'm still not satisfied with what they've been doing with themselves. No interest really in Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, but obviously we don't have any start with that feud yet. We don't know what Seth Rollins and the Disciples are going to be doing. Authors of Pain, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, we don't know. I mean, we do see Becky Lynch, Shayna Baszler now looking to be something coming up. And it doesn't matter. The women's feuds, they get started with all they want because of the fact that, Saudis don't want the women. No women. No women. You must put on burqa. No showing though. Things like that, right? Let's look at Smackdown from this past Friday. Quickly, what do I see when you look right off the top? So Naomi does not get the win. People are kind of saying, why aren't they not letting her have this shot yet? Carmella gets the title shot. I guess that's what Elimination Chamber they put it in. Braun Strowman we talked about last week being IC champ, right? Goldberg via satellite in picture, not even in the arena. And Bray Wyatt, they accept the match as Super Showdown. Sheamus is back, but still doing matches where he is basically running on squash matches like it was 2007 all over again? What was it when he started? Basically back to that. As if, forget about the bar, forget about the Mohawk, forget about everything else he was. The Celtic Warrior. He's back to that again. It's like they basically rebooted this character all the way back. Well, if that was the case, they just should have brought his old music back if they were going to do that. And let him wear the big chain again. But, whatever. This is not that pleased me. Of course not. But again, look at what they had going into Smackdown. And this is during WrestleMania season, by the way. And this is 2 weeks after Royal Rumble. So New Day, Miz and Morrison, little setup for the Super Showdown. Usos, Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Roode. We've seen those teams together for a long ass time. I feel like it's been forever, but it's only been about a month since they came out to rescue Roman Reigns. So that story's been going on. I mean, credit that there's a little bit interwoven storylines with a couple of things going on. So it's not just like, piecemeal this storyline and only these people are involved without any interaction with others. At least you're seeing a little more interaction of storylines. So when there are feuds going on, there's multiple people in feuds so that you can interchange matches. I at least give credit to that. But that's not the answer or an overall solution. Elias and Cesaro are in like purgatory, mid-card purgatory. Roman Reigns interrupted King Corbin interaction because they're going to have the steel cage match. As I said, Bray Wyatt, Goldberg, Super Showdown. So again, Super Showdown was the focus on SmackDown. WrestleMania is not the consideration. Neither is Elimination Chamber. Doesn't matter. Daniel Bryan in a glorified match over Heath Slater. And Shinsuke, Sami Zayn, and Revival after Braun Strowman. These people are also mid-card purgatory. Braun Strowman, I remember seeing somebody put up on Twitter back when he was like hot as shit. Braun Strowman going up against Brock Lesnar. Prior to having the match, having, the standoff with each other, and thinking Braun Strowman has a chance to beat Brock Lesnar a couple of years ago. And what happened? Think about it. And like I said, fatal four-way match for the women, and Carmella wins. And this match for the number one contenders match is not for number one contender. This match will probably be faced on prior to WrestleMania, so most likely Elimination Chamber in a short amount of time. Not much to that. And Bayley left off TV. No Lacey Evans, by the way. She's not even involved in this. But then Bayley and Lacey Evans were not even involved in this on the show at all. And then you go to Raw. So the same 8 players together, right? The Disciples, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, Viking Raiders, and some interchangeable woven kind of thing. That's what we have. A brawl with them. And then a very good match with Becky Lynch beating Asuka, finishing that off. Okay, they wanted to finish that feud off, set things up for Shayna. That's fine. I'm with you right there. I'm all the way with you right there. But then we get, and it's a mixed reaction what people think about Shayna Baszler taking whatever was on Becky's neck that was prepped to be cut into and to make her look like she was bleeding from the neck. And then Becky Lynch going stone cold man with the ambulance doing nothing with it. I don't even know what that was even about. But Shayna Baszler, yes, everybody sees the look of her with blood in her face. She's a fucking vampire. And I'm thinking, what are we doing? ECW, Kevin Thorne, and Azrael? Are we going back to that? When is fucking vampire something that's relevant right now? I'm sorry, Queen of the Damned, okay, Aaliyah and Stuart Townsend. That movie was 2001 or 2000, right? Underworld, they did that over and over. That's been years ago. The vampires are not a thing right now. Who thought that all of a sudden this was a good idea? Older viewers thought it was a good idea from what it looked like. Looked like the older demographic, like, oh, vampires, cool. When do we hear anything? Twilight's been 10 years ago, hasn't it? Who's doing anything about fucking vampires right now? Yeah, Twilight's a 12 fucking year old film. And that was with vampires and shit. We don't got anything like that right now. It's not even relevant. I mean, if you were doing zombies, I could give you that. We got Walking Dead still a thing and it's relevant. But when do we see this? I mean, Shayna Baszler is going to do well. I think she's going to do very well in the main roster. I think she's got a great chance. But do we need to do this to her? Why don't we just let her be the ace of spades coming up on board? As always, what the fuck does the company think of doing? They want to go ahead and continue to do something where they have to change up the way that they do things. They always have to go and change what works at NXT because God forbid they try to do anything at all that works on NXT and bring it up. And this is why I'm saying about all of you watching NXT. I was watching it tonight. I followed along. I double viewed, okay? Does anybody think Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Dakota Kai, Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, Velveteen Dream, Finn Balor, do any of those stars resonate over and they're like, they're going to be great on the main roster? No, the people that are doing it, they are full of hope and dreams. Hope-filled dreams. That is what we have at NXT of the fan base. The 780,000 odd fans around 50 years old that watch this show. This is what we have. These are Attitude Era fans. They're hoping that the things that worked in the Attitude Era would work now. And even Triple H is not thinking about the fact that, listen, yes, you're bringing back kind of characters that would fit the Attitude Era. That would have worked really well in the Attitude Era, most likely, with some time and development. But that's not 2020. We're not in 1998 again. We're not even 2005. A lot of this is not working. It's not. But for whatever reason, there is not one fucking person in the creative end of the Stanford suits over there. Creatively, we have to stick with what has worked before. We cannot possibly go ahead and be a little creative and a little bit experimental, a little forward thinking, and try to break the barriers of what's been done before. What AEW at least is doing is progressive. Everybody knows it. It's pretty obvious. The way they position themselves, the way they put themselves out there, it works that way for them. And I can't knock that. And the thing is, they're also on cable, so they're doing a few things that kind of stand out a little more. And for whatever reason, I hate to say it, but Chris Jericho's cooler than a lot of characters in WWE right now. Talk about a fucking guy that knows how to reinvent himself at 50 years old. Little bit of the bubbly gets over. His ridiculous looks still get over. And most importantly, he is getting younger guys over. Sammy fucking Guevara is in his mid-20s. MJF right now, early 20s. He's 23 years old. NXT is filled with a lot of Ring of Honor guys with a lot of great work rate that I don't see them turning themselves around and creating big stars out of. Okay? The talkers that you had from Ring of Honor, you got them already here. Okay? You got in Kevin Owens. Daniel Bryan found a voice in this company. Adam Cole definitely has the voice. Keith Lee can speak very well. But other than that, so what? Okay, we're going to have a lot of other AJ Styles, Samoa Joes in the middle closer to the, kind of sniffing the main event. That's what Adam Cole is. That's what Tommaso Ciampa is. That's what Keith Lee is. These guys are not going to break the bank and move across. Seth Rollins somehow kind of there. But for whatever reason, he's got such a loyalty fix with Triple H and the McMahons that they just want to put a rocket on that guy. And as much as they can, they will always keep that guy in the main event. They're not worried about loyalty to the brand of the Ruthless Aggression era that it had before. Randy Orton right now is getting a chance here with Edge because they got a feud for him. But otherwise, Randy Orton, he would have been doing something else. Nothing particularly special. But right now, they've heated him up as a big heel again. Great. I'll give him credit for that. Drew McIntyre, he's the new Kofi Kingston. He is the new redemption story, right? Kind of like what Daniel Bryan was, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. The idea is we want to see Drew McIntyre succeed. This is a new, Cinderella story. Drew McIntyre leaves. He comes back, chip on his shoulder, makes his way back. Now he's got a chance to go through Brock Lesnar. He might be a made man. At the moment, he's already starting to become a star. Can he get himself over the hill, out of mid-card purgatory, and become a big star again? John Morrison nobody feels like that because they feel like he's over the hill. I think that's what's going to happen right there because he's already in his 40s. And I just think to myself, there's something that's going on with the company that it doesn't work. And I don't know. I'm just not happy with it. And I really hate all that they're doing right now to not, really nothing that's really heading towards a certain trend that people are going to really care about going forward. Is Drew McIntyre becoming champion, if that was one of the stories we get at the end, is that really going to make much of a difference? No. Bray Wyatt, in order to keep him interesting, they've done a lot of things to ruin that character when he's in the ring. And Firefly Funhouse doing that every week can only go so far. They've done it for a long time, but man, they need to do something more to continue to keep that revolving and moving up. Like Jesus, man. Matt Hardy in his late 40s. The Hardy stuff, the delete and decay and the broken universe, that was continuing to evolve and it had people involved in it. And it was just so much more to it. And if Matt Hardy, by the way, if that was the way he went out with Randy Orton and he gets to go to AEW and resurrect, maybe he becomes the Exalted One for the Dark Order. Shit. I'm fine with that. I hope he gets to bring his broken gimmick back. This company just doesn't like to bring people back and let them do things that actually worked effectively. They let the broken gimmick come back and played it out a little bit, but they don't want to have anything that's not claimed to be theirs. That's the whole point. Matt Hardy had to go out there looking like 1999 all over again. Same gear, same music, same everything. As if he never aged. Why do that to him? Why do we have to do that? I mean, imagine if Jeff Hardy had to go back out there. He'd be in the same situation too. Anyway, back to Raw. What have they been doing with WrestleMania to build things up? Well, don't get me wrong. Raw is trying to be a little more forward thinking. They are trying to get new stars up to the forefront. Street Profits were featured. 24/7 title was featured. I don't care. MVP being used in the VIP lounge. Effective use with Drew McIntyre. I was fine with that. Is it really playing anything towards what I've been talking about all night? No. But for an older, for a fan that watched Ruthless Aggression and watched the Attitude Era, well, and actually part of the Drew McIntyre MVP era, I missed because I took away, I left watching WWE from 2001 to about 2004. I stayed away because I was like, okay, they're going to do the invasions, all this other stuff. I don't want to watch any of this shit. So I didn't want to because I knew what was going to happen. I was like, oh boy, they're going to ruin it. Because I already knew what this company was going to do. The same thing. No, we're going to get Drew McIntyre done right this time. Okay. Angel Garza. Oh, he's the new Gino Hernandez, the new Tino Santana, whatever. The new, or Rick Martel. That's the one that Kevin Castle mentioned. Arrogance. So Angel Garza, he comes out again, whatever. Cedric Alexander, remember he had that push? Remember he was getting that push for a while and he thought we were going to be a big deal? Nope, not anymore. They gave up on him. Done. And Rhea Ripley, ask yourself the question, okay, so she's got a very interesting look. I think everybody talking about her promo skills, I think it's overrated. Her work is not overrated. Her promo skills are overrated. People talking about her, it's like Becky Lynch's promo cutting, about as good as that. And even Charlotte Flair's promo cutting as of late, I haven't liked that either. Seriously, there's not one woman on the women's roster in WWE right now that I like that really does that well. I mean, I think Shayna Baszler, I kind of like her promos, but she's not even that necessarily over the spot either. But there's not one woman I feel like that really gives me that solid promo. Even Lacey Evans, I like a bit, but again, they need a lot of work with her to put her in a better gimmick. I just think they're giving her bad shit to work with. But with Rhea Ripley, also, they're not letting her get the talk. I mean, she's just kind of there. Squash over Sarah Logan, Sarah Logan, I'm surprised she's still here, but obviously, remember, she's married to one of the Viking Raiders, so it doesn't matter. It's like, okay, keep them happy. Keep Viking Raiders happy. Keep them there, right? Bobby Lashley takes a loss to Ricochet to build up Ricochet for Brock Lesnar. Yeah, that's going to make people believe that Ricochet's got a chance at Brock Lesnar at Super Showdown. Yeah, really believe that. Let's not forget Ricochet got taken out with an F5 like that. Snap fingers, right? As I said, when you look at TV, Randy Orton attacking Matt Hardy. Randy Orton's building up his image. But again, I mean, all you're doing is reheating a star that's done it over and over, okay? Randy Orton has been heated up to main event a million times. And he could do that. Again, it's just what you give him. It's all about what you give him to work off of to make things a little bit better or good. Aleister Black looking for a fight. Look, I like the character. I like them in NXT. They have wasted this guy so badly. Him and Ricochet, I remember coming in together. I'm like, it doesn't make any much sense. And I'm like, they're just not doing much. I mean, Ricochet, well, no, that's the thing. Aleister Black doesn't have Buddy Murphy to work off of. And ever since that, he's just back to squashing. There's no feud for him. Nothing to work off of. What are you going to do with Aleister Black? They have nothing for him to do. That's what's unfortunate. Another dark, brooding character. What are you going to do with him? And, I mean, for my own sake, I think what you do is make another tag team with him. And you know what? Bring Damian Priest up and put them together. Otherwise, I don't know what else you do. But again, they do the dark, brooding characters. Remember, we had Ascension. That didn't work. And I don't know what to think anymore. I just don't like what they're doing with all this. It's stupid. But how many squash matches can you give Aleister Black until we get just so tired of it? I'd switch the channel to something else for a few minutes when I see Aleister Black because I know what they're going to do with him. It's not him. I know what they're going to do with him, and it sucks. I'm reading through a review here. Baszler is basically a vampire. Becky Lynch is a poor man or / woman's Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is the way you start this feud? This is a mistake. I mean, I get, okay. I mean, what, bloodthirsty? All right. What are we going to do? We're going to put fangs on Shayna Baszler or something coming up next? Who thought this was the right idea to put on Shayna Baszler? Oh, because her teeth look like vampire teeth, look like fangs. Damn it. Is that really what Vince brought up? Is like, yeah, they're going to put some fangs on her. Yeah, damn it. I can just imagine that's the kind of idea what they were going with. And then again, yes, familiarity. Seth Rollins, Murphy, AOP, Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, Viking Raiders. Put them together. Any which way you want. Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Any way you want it. That's what they do. I just don't like it. It is, again, way too formulaic, which feels very corporate. Creativity offers nothing to the mix. And look, anybody can talk about what NXT did with the Bros, right? With Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne. Okay, there's a little creativity there. I mean, that's a little more creativity I've seen from NXT than I've seen over in the roster. I mean, well, don't get me wrong. The main roster, I did like the Miz and Morrison thing doing Once Upon a Time in the dirt sheet. I actually liked that part. I actually thought that was really well done. That was actually kind of fun. Fun that they actually used Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That was actually a nice little choice. But otherwise, I mean, after that, I mean, I just feel like that WWE is right now just trying to go ahead and cling on to their audience, their certain audience base. But what we do know about everything else is the fact that their audience, you know, they just continue to look for money. At this point, WWE felt like they kind of, you know, the ship was kind of sinking a little bit. They got the water out of it now. Like with Paul Heyman, Bruce Pritchard now in charge, Raw, SmackDown. That's what's happening. We're seeing where, okay, the ship is now corrected. We can do the part-time players now. So we got Goldberg. We can get back Taker. They're talking about Sting coming back now that he might be cleared at 61 years old to take on, you know, 54-year-old, 55-year-old Undertaker, right? John Cena's coming back. Oh, see, we got things going on. Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt. Oh, we're going to get a pay-per-view. We're going to get some WrestleMania. Hey, Ray J. All right, good. So WrestleMania will be something. But again, no real changes being made for the future to get this company at a good spot. And for the investors, which I brought up earlier, the earnings call wasn't helpful. I mean, listen, they got to cut some house shows, not just because of the fact of, they're cutting house shows because of the fact that they need to kind of save some money. And it's better for the wrestlers, also doing it for AEW. It's funny what they're having to do right now with the contracts. Because remember, nobody's talking about the fact that contracts are probably taking effect that, you know, there's a lot more money being spent now on payroll, which nobody talked about the fact. We know that for a fact that WWE right now has to put in more money in payroll, which takes from their bottom line. The house shows not doing well, takes from their bottom line. Subscriptions for the network down, takes from their bottom line. So when they're seeing some of those things happening right there, the stability of the company, no matter how much the fact that they got all this money coming for the next 5 years, guaranteed from the Saudis, from Fox, from NBC Universal. Besides the point. That's what the investors are worried about. That's why the stock price went down half. Because you still have people that, yes, it's a $40 valuation. That's good for them. But back to when it was 80 to almost $100, that's when people know, okay, this is a sure bet because they're going to be around for 10 years. They're going to be making some big bucks. And the company is actually making the measures to make that happen. Instead, WWE is more concerned about doing things to help continue to make more money, as we've been reading about in the news. What was the other thing I heard about? There's been a lot of rumors now going on these days that WWE might go ahead and take themselves off of pay-per-view, off the wrestling networks, that some of the pay-per-views might get moved back off. So we heard about this in the earnings call. Vince McMahon said the following in the earnings call this past Thursday. Quote, we have a lot of options for WWE Network monetization. We could continue on as we are now with an enhancement of a tier. We also have an option right now. There's no better time to exercise the selling of our rights to all the majors who, quite frankly, all the majors are really clamoring for our content. So that could be a significant increase, obviously, in terms of revenue. So he's referring to the fact that Fox, NBC Universal most likely, maybe some other people, when the cable companies and others are looking for live content and they're looking for big events to get some big money off of, they think that WWE could bring WrestleMania to their their platform and really make some big money. And the same for the other big four pay-per-views. Maybe not all of them, but a number of the big four pay-per-views could make their way, or three, who knows, they could make their way back onto traditional pay-per-view because the pay-per-view outlets might be looking for something to get back. Because remember, UFC's gone. Boxing has been dwindling. There's nothing else in the pay-per-view model at this point. There are some pay-per-views going on for wrestling, but the pay-per-view outlets, they would love to be able to get back WWE branded pay-per-views at 65, 70. Who knows how much they would cost now? Probably go back up to around 75, 80 bucks. Who knows? WrestleMania might be $100 for all we know for HD. Imagine that. We can actually see that happen. Could they actually go ahead and buck the system that we talked about back in 2014? The mistake they made of taking all their pay-per-views and putting them on the network. And in this time, 6 years later, coming up now, we're almost at the, what are we? We're almost at the 6-year anniversary of the WWE network. And they have not, the WWE has not considered at all looking at changing the tiers in the network, changing the pricing model, which they could do, right? Like they could go ahead and absolutely go ahead and bring on a change in the model, which like I said to myself, yeah, you want to go ahead and, put the price up to like $14, maybe $19 a month. I'd probably still pay for it. I would probably still pay for it. I don't think it will make much of a difference to me. Some people might take it. You could do a tiered system, but they chose not to do that for whatever reason. I mean, I was surprised they haven't changed the price on it. Hey, good on them. I've been fine. I've been paying for it this whole time. Haven't even thought about the auto renewal. So in the meantime, yeah, you want to make more money off these pay-per-views. But here's the number one problem. Here's a couple of problems. Number one, nobody wants you to go ahead and reverse back. Number two, do you expect for WWE then, when they put a bigger price tag on the WrestleMania and other pay-per-views, do you think they're really going to do anything to help themselves get themselves back up? Has anybody thought about that? Does anybody think that the quality, the level of quality in the pay-per-views, if they go back to a traditional model, we're going to get that back again? The reason we had to pay $55 and $65 for WrestleMania, the fact that we had to pay $49 for a regular pay-per-view, even when it was a shit one. Do you really think we're going to get back to that? Do you think there's a good chance we can get back to that? I don't think so. But at the moment, McMahon expects a deal to get done as early as in the next few months here in 2020, should WWE decide to go in that direction. Remain alive. So they've had a number of major events. Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor pulled in $600 million. Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, $400 million. Conor McGregor, Donald Cowboy Cerrone, 1 million buys on pay-per-view. But that was ESPN Plus, so I don't know if it was like regular UFC or whatever. You have to have ESPN Plus, then you have to buy the price for the UFC pay-per-view. And possibly February 22nd, a rematch with Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. The rematch could also do something pretty well. So WWE's talks with the majors has the industry speculating to what this could be for the future of their pay-per-views and the network itself. So WWE's model could morph into something similar to UFC, which recently signed a $1.5 billion deal with ESPN through 2025 to air pay-per-views exclusively through ESPN Plus. And how we know this works is the fact that the McGregor-Cerrone fight drew 500,000 new subscribers to ESPN Plus, and the streaming service now has 7.6 million total subscribers. So they're making money. So we don't know. But that got people started to talk. Just saying. Okay, but a couple of other things I want to make mention of before I'm going to wrap things up for tonight. Unfortunately, Teddy Hart, once again, I don't know what he's doing. Drug possession of a number of illegal substances, and he had ketamine. He had a bunch of different prescription pills in his possession. So with intent to distribute, that's what they charged him for. So currently he is in jail. I think it's a Canadian jail. Damn it. Hall of Fame Bella Twins and Jushin Thunder Liger are being under consideration right now to be announced to be inducted into the Hall. I mean, I'm surprised with Jushin Thunder Liger, but hey, you know, it's outside of the normal scope. Okay. And the Bella Twins, look, they're both pregnant. Congratulations to both of them. Everything worked out for them. That's good. But the Bella Twins, you know, they're off for their own thing. They have made themselves pretty good in the reality world. And they don't need WWE much anymore. They kind of moved on with their own lives. So for them to just come back here, we don't need to see them come back and wrestle anymore. It's fine. You want to just send them off to the sunset and put them in the Hall of Fame? Fine. You know, I don't think it's much of a difference. I mean, the prestige of that, I'm not one of those people that are really caught up in that much anyway. I saw Ken Shamrock's going into the Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame. That was nice to go and see. Mentioned before, Nyla Rose, now AEW Women's Champion. That was actually pretty cool. So at the moment, like I said, in 2 weeks, we have Super Showdown from King Fahd International Stadium, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. 12 o'clock kickoff on February 27th. Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet for the WWE Championship. Universal title, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend versus Goldberg. So The Fiend will take on Goldberg, they're saying. New Day versus John Morrison and The Miz for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Steel Cage, King Baron Corbin versus Roman Reigns. Andrade, AJ Styles, Rusev, Bobby Lashley, Eric Rowan, R-Truth in the Tuwaiq Trophy Gauntlet match. So Tuwaiq is the name of a mountain. Yes, a mountain. Oh, well. And, yeah, nobody's really talking about the fact that, we got NXT TakeOver Portland. I guess I might bring that up for next week. They kind of just got this put back together, but it was like we just had Worlds Collide, so this coming together really feels kind of rushed. But, I mean, they already had it planned. Adam Cole versus Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT title. I think Ciampa wins it. Cole's had that belt for a long-ass time. Rhea Ripley defends against Bianca Belair. Ripley will retain for the NXT Women's title. Or the NXT Championship. That's right. No women's title. Just NXT Championship. Really? We're going to just call them both the NXT Championship? All right. Progressive. NXT Tag Team Championships. Undisputed Era. Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish. Red Dragon. Let's call them what they are. Against the Broserweights. Matt Riddle, Pete Dunne. Broserweights win. That's probably the logical direction. Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic. Keith Lee will win and retain the North American title, I think. Tegan Nox versus Dakota Kai in a street fight. I'll go to Tegan Nox. Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano. I'll give it to Gargano there. But again, I mean, it'll be a good pay-per-view to watch. I won't be really totally invested in it, but, I'll catch it. Probably catch it on the rerun. That same night I'll catch it on the man. That's pretty much the plan. Interesting to see Jeff Cobb make it to AEW tonight. I like that. Badly used in the Ring of Honor. I mean, I said it when I was watching the Ring of Honor pay-per-views. I was like, what are you doing with Jeff Cobb, man? That guy's just got a star on him, man. And they just, Ring of Honor, whatever. They gave him the TV title. They gave him Shane Taylor. And there was just a point where I thought Jeff Cobb, he was going to get himself pushed up to a certain spot. And like, you know what? No world title, no nothing. They want to build him up to anything. I'm like, whatever. Okay. Didn't like that so much. Oh, well. So Elimination Chamber is March 8th, as a matter of fact. Didn't realize that was coming up. No matches announced as of yet. And by the way, when we're looking on the schedule, AEW Revolution, we'll talk about that in a second. Let me go and bring that up for you. So far, Chris Jericho versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World title. Cody versus MJF. And Dustin Rhodes now will take on the Big Hurt Jake Hager. That just announced tonight. 3 great matches coming up for that pay-per-view. So I'm sure there's a few more matches that'll get put together. Well, actually, no. Pac and Kenny Omega has been scheduled, right? Pac and Kenny Omega. That's also scheduled, right? So, got some stuff to work out there. That sounds pretty good. Also, Ring of Honor's 18th anniversary coming up March 13th, Las Vegas. So far, television title is scheduled to be contested. Dragon Lee will take on Bandito, so brother against brother in that match. Okay. Sounds interesting. So actually, yes, we have 4 matches all scheduled. Oh, here we go. Pac and Kenny Omega is Atlanta. That's right. Yeah, next week's show for AEW Atlanta looks fantastic. But right, the Revolution has Chris Jericho, John Moxley, AEW World Title, MJF versus Cody. Adam Page and Kenny Omega will defend the AEW World Tag Team titles against the winners of a Tag Team Battle Royal, which happens next week. And Best Friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent, Butcher and the Blade, Dark Order's Alex Reynolds and John Silver, the Hybrid Tudes, Angelico and Jack Evans, Jurassic Express's Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, Private Parties, Isaiah Cassidy, Mark Quinn, Santana Ortiz, Proud and Powerful, SoCal and Censor, Frankie Kazarian, Scorpio Sky, the former champions, Strongheart, Sema, and T-Hawk, and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, are all part of that. And Cody versus Wardlow in a steel cage next week. Jesus, what in the world? Let me go and just double check what I got here. What do we got for AEW Dynamite next week? Let me go ahead and check, because that is a freaking amazing card next week. Let me pull that back up again. What in the world are they going to be doing, man? Like, they really are pulling out a full card. So yeah, those matches are all coming up next week. That's a crazy night they're going to have. In Atlanta, as they get all started up. Wow, that's freaking crazy. Now, one more thing I want to talk about. The XFL. I watched all 4 games this past weekend. I got to tell you, entertaining as shit. Because of the fact that you got the kickoffs, the way they're set, a chance for the returner to get a chance to make a run for it. That was interesting. I loved all of it when you're watching from the field and you can go and watch this replays being done from the booth. So you don't have a lot of that banter between the announcers. They just kind of sit back. We heard that going on. We could hear the coaches making calls. We could hear the players on the field. Like, man, all that shit was great. Like, I love the inside breaking the fourth wall kind of shit. That was fantastic. That's what kept me involved the whole game. The 2-minute warning, I love that. The game did come up pretty moving. The one thing I was really worried about, and I think the coaches need to learn about this, because listen, I'm trying to be a Tampa Bay Vipers fan, and Mark Trestman, the coach, kept trying to play too conservative. And I mean, that was made a mistake. Number one, he should have played Quentin Flowers over Aaron Murray. Just saying. I don't care how many snaps Quentin Flowers did not have from the previous practice last week or prior to the game. They should have put him in more, give him some more time. And I just think that that's one thing overall, is that there were teams that were not willing to go for the 3-point play and get a 9-point touchdown and point after. Too much conservative, and that's what's going to have to happen. Nobody even tried the double pass. So, I mean, coaches need to be a little more creative and just realize, listen, you're in the XFL, not the NFL. Let's start using advantage of some of the plays you have. That's what needs to happen. That some of these stars need to realize, okay, you got some resources here. We need to make do, because we can make some more points. We can really do some things for the love of football, right? For the love of football. Anyway, I'll leave it there. So a lot going on with WrestleMania season again this week. The Saudi Princes have a lock on WWE right now, so that's why they can go and afford to go ahead and get Goldberg in for a lot of money, Brock Lesnar for a lot of money, and things like that. You know, you have to serve at the behest, at the pleasure of the Saudi Princes, and serve at the behest of the broadcasters that are running your programming. That's one thing that's got to be considered with WWE right now. They are also at the behest of the people that are paying them so much damn money. To wrap things up, they need to be concerned about what they're doing to get more money put into play to make the product better for their investors and for the next batch of fans. They're going to be here for the next generation of fans. That's what I'm talking about. The next generation needs to be prepped and ready to go to watch WWE. I think AEW is doing a better job of it, and that's what's got to change. So there you go. That said, back with another Wrestling Gazelle podcast next week, because wrestling needs us. Thank you for listening to the Wrestling Gazelle podcast, brought to you by KingofAmazon.com. For more information on how to subscribe to the show, how to share the Wrestling Gazelle podcast to listeners like you, and check out the latest wrestling headlines, go to WrestlingIsReal.com. That's WrestlingIsReal.com.